Whether you want to spend less time on your phone watching cat videos, lose weight, or quit smoking, many feel that willpower is the key to a successful and happy life. But what is this mysterious thing called willpower, and is it possible to boost our willpower so that we can make better decisions? Psychologist Kelly McGonigal describes willpower as a competition between two minds in one brain. One impulsive mind that seeks immediate gratification, and another mind that controls our impulses and delays gratification for long-term goals. For example, trying to resist short-term temptations like junk food in order to meet the long-term goal of experiencing good health. Willpower is often depicted as a battle between a devil and an angel. The reality is not quite so simple. Our prehistoric ancestors lived in an environment in which food may have been scarce. As a result, craving fats and sugars helped us to survive. The problem isn't that craving fast food is bad, but that we now live in an environment in which fast food is cheap and abundant. To make matters worse, we're bombarded with adverts and hundreds of choices every day that consume our willpower, making us more likely to give in to temptation. McGonigal calls the ability to resist short-term gratification the I won't power. But saying no to something is just one part of willpower. There's also the I will power, which is the ability to say yes to things you may not feel like doing that will bring you closer to achieving your goals. Finally, there's the I want power, which is the ability to remember your long-term goals, like living a healthy life. In the 1960s, psychologist Walter Mischel conducted the most well-known willpower experiment, the so-called Marshmallow Test. Mischel wanted to find out whether preschool children could resist settling for an immediate reward of 1 marshmallow for a bigger reward of 2 marshmallows 15 minutes later. Delayed gratification tasks, like the Marshmallow Test, are difficult for young children because a part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for making decisions and overriding our impulses, is less developed. However, while 2 out of every 3 preschoolers gave in to temptation, 1 out of 3 somehow managed to resist. Mischel tracked these children 15 years later and found that willpower was a better predictor of academic success than IQ. But the benefits of willpower extend well beyond college. Willpower can improve almost every aspect of our lives, from helping us to eat better, exercise more, quit smoking, quit gambling, save money, overcome procrastination, and achieve a wide range of life goals. Given all these potential advantages, why does willpower fail? Psychologist Baumeister thinks that willpower is like a muscle. This is good news because it means it can be strengthened through practice, but it can also mean it can become tired through overuse. In a well-known experiment by Baumeister, hungry participants were shown a plate of radishes and a plate of freshly baked cookies. One group of participants were asked to resist the cookies and eat the radishes, while the other group were allowed to eat the cookies. Afterwards, the participants were given 30 minutes to complete an impossible geometric puzzle. Baumeister found that those who had resisted the cookies and ate the radishes gave up on the puzzle after just 8 minutes. In contrast, those who ate the cookies persevered for an average of nearly 19 minutes. Baumeister concluded that the participants who resisted the tempting cookies also reduced their willpower needed for the puzzle, a process that he called ego depletion. Many studies have shown similar results with different types of willpower depleting tasks. For example, people asked to suppress their emotions during a sad movie gave up sooner on a test of physical stamina than those asked to react normally to the movie. In another study, participants asked not to think about a white bear drank more beer during a taste test, even though they were instructed to moderate their drinking. Now you try not thinking about a white bear for 1 minute. The more you try not to think about a white bear, the more you think about it. Trying to suppress your desires is a lot like trying to suppress your thoughts about a white bear. It may work in the short term, but in the long term, it can deplete your willpower and make it more difficult to resist temptation. Baumeister theorized that we have a finite amount of willpower that we share for all tasks, no matter what they are. It doesn't matter how energetic you feel. If you've depleted your willpower, for example, by trying not to procrastinate at work all day, then you won't have enough willpower left to avoid temptations, or do the things you know you should do, like eating healthy food and exercise. So how do we resist temptations without depleting our willpower reserves? One thing we can do is avoid temptation altogether. In the Marshmallow Test, children who closed their eyes were more likely to resist temptation and wait for 2 marshmallows. Out of sight, out of mind. A powerful mind hack for boosting willpower is called the implementation intention. This is a simple if-then rule we can make for ourselves on what to do in a given situation. For example, an exercise rule might be, if there are stairs, then I will take them instead of the elevator. Rules like these can reduce the number of decisions we need to make and help maintain our willpower reserves. Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs, and Barack Obama all subscribe to the idea of a consistent wardrobe, allowing them to devote more of their decision-making energy to important mental tasks, rather than depleting their willpower on small choices throughout the day. Studies have shown that regularly exercising your willpower can strengthen your resolve in the long term, like a muscle that grows with exercise. Not only that, but once we get into the habit of doing something, we no longer need to draw on our willpower to maintain the behaviour. It's also important to get plenty of sleep. Sleep deprivation, classified as less than 6 hours sleep per night, causes the prefrontal cortex to work less efficiently, which reduces our ability to resist temptations and focus on long-term goals. It has been suggested that sleep loss is partly responsible for obesity. In contrast, exercise and meditation have been shown to increase the size and efficiency of the prefrontal cortex and bolster willpower. Finally, remember that you have one willpower resource for everything you do. So avoid making too many resolutions at the same time, as you'll be less likely to succeed at any one of them. And remember to show plenty of self-compassion. Feeling guilty isn't motivating, and you're more likely to try again if you accept that things don't always go to plan. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so I can make more content like this in the future.